here today at iShook with our good friend, Mr. Ami Kozak. How are you, sir? How's everything? I'm going to flip you, okay? So I want people to see your name. My Rabbi Beni podcast logo is blocking you, if it's okay.
That's fine. Good to be with you, Rabbi Beni. How we doing?
Not bad. I'm doing well. Listen, we're doing our projects, right? We're trying to push the envelope with our friends. We can't obviously disclose. It's all hush hush for now, but that's how we met. But yeah, listen, I think things are going well. How's everything going with you? What's going on? What's new? What's happening?
Thank God. Thank God. Doing my thing. A lot of comedy, a lot of content, podcasting, stand up, the works.
Yeah, but you're very big in politics, no? You're a political guru, so to speak.
I do what I can. We all do what we can.
Right. Did you hear the latest news with Netanyahu's pardon? Did you see
What's
that?
the update? I know he's been trying to get it. He's been advocating for it. They asked him to resign for a pardon. He said no.
Right.
But what else?
Resign for the pardon? I didn't know
Yeah.
that. That's the first time I heard that
It was
part.
like a press conference question, but
Okay. But it wasn't like what's it? Herzog goes to him and he says, go down, right?
Herzog, I don't know how persuasive Herzog could be. He has only one tone of voice, So happy, sad, angry. Listen, we need to respect this process. I am outraged, and I am also happy, and I am sad. This is the same way I'm speaking. It is outrageous. You were there, really, truly, really, truly.
That's a good one, by the way. That's a good one. That's a good. But what's your take? You think they're gonna get the pardon now or not?
That Bibi's going to get pardoned? I honestly, I don't follow the minutia of like Israeli internal politics that closely, so I can't really be informed on the cultural political climate in Israel because, according to Bibi, he's got a lot more support than is presented.
I think he does, by the way. I think he does. I think he has huge support. I did a podcast with Hadan Mukhtar. You know who she is?
No.
She's unbelievable. I gotta show you. I gotta show you her stuff. Let me get you on there. Her Instagram. This is crazy.
Yeah.
She's unbelievable, and only an Israeli can really truly understand this. This is unbelievable what she does. Let me just share the screen here. All right, here we go. Also share audio. There we go. There we go. Let's Google Hadar Mukhtar here. Hadar. So I had a podcast with her. She worked in actually some sort of what do you call some sort of what's the right word? Some sort of like intelligence agency.
Okay.
But look at all, and you can tell that the sentiment of the leftists in Israel I believe are much worse than here.
Oh boy, they're putting their hand in front of her.
וואו, איך אני שמחה ששמים לי משהו בפרצוף. שחר, איך אני שמחה
אל תיגע בי! אל תיגע בי, אידיוט!
2,000 מתים. Yeah.
אתה אומר צה"ל לא היה שם?
I get it.
אני אלימה?
Yeah, but they actually hit her. I want to show you how they actually hit her. She's pro Bibi, by the way. She's pro Bibi. So she has a lot of Bibi supporters, and she's going for the Likud party.
Yeah.
Now, what she said, what seems to be with what she's on the shetach, like on the ground, a lot of people are going to vote for Bibi again. He's going to get 30 mandates. He's going to get 30, 29. He's going to be in that between 25 to 30.
Right.
So he's like 30% of the country. So there's no way he's out.
Interesting. I mean, look, I know that he also has his detractors on all sides now too, from left, right, and center, because there's people who said he was too calculated, too restrained. There's people on the left who will hate him with sort of Bibi derangement, no matter what he does, even if he does things they completely agree with. It's sort of like a Trump factor of being just opposed to anything Bibi. So it's pretty intense, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. I mean,
I saw you. By the way, you met a few players. What's the guy from CNN? You met him? What's his name?
Chris Cuomo?
No, not Chris. I met not the other one. He's in the debate. He was in Patrick David's thing. He just put a book with Trump out.
That Jennings, Scott Jennings.
Yeah, Scott Jennings. There we go. How's he? Like, what does he say? What's his point of view?
Scott,
did you get a chance to talk to him?
We didn't get into it too much. It was just like a gala, but he's been good. He's been the voice of reason on CNN. They kind of like that. I think he's been killing it. So it's nice.
Really?
To see that.
Yeah, I think CNN is going to go down with this new Netflix purchase. You know what's happening with Netflix and all that. It's like crazy stuff.
Yeah.
Like the movie industry is going to be shot. I got to talk to Daniel Baldwin about it, but I think it's going to be shot. Yeah, Daniel is a cohort of ours in our company, but yeah. So like it's crazy over there. Like in the whole, they're destroying the whole market of movie industry. Like the whole movie industry is flopping. The last 10, 15 rom-com movies flipped. Like they lost 80% of the investment in it.
Yeah, it's kind of the Wild West in all the different landscapes, media, film, you know.
But they're investing. New Jersey.
Yeah,
in New Jersey, they got the $800, $900 million studio coming out.
Okay.
Did you hear about this or no?
No.
Yeah, so Netflix just put in like $900 million studio.
Mm-hmm.
Paramount put in $200 million in a Netflix studio base.
Yeah.
They said, we're going to take one building, like one place. So they're moving Hollywood from California is coming now to New Jersey, New York.
Yeah. Okay.
This is crazy.
Closer to me. Good.
Yeah. Well, it's your town, brother.
Yeah.
It's your town.
New Jersey boy. So good. More activity.
So I'm going to give you a bomb question. What do you think about this Candace nonsense that's going on? That's why I open up with Netanyahu, because obviously, you know, the guy who says I'm 8 hours a day, right, sitting down in interviews for my court case, so all of a sudden has hours to spend to plotting and killing or potential assassination of Candace Owens.
Oh, I see. Yeah. No, yeah, I mean, it's all such obvious nonsense at this point. I mean, I think she's going to be just increasingly, if not already, much more isolated. I think this whole notion that she's this unstoppable force with this huge platform, just over time, increasingly more deranged, more delusional. The Hail Mary pass assassination could be the fact that she's facing a massive defamation lawsuit from the first lady and
oh yeah, I read
Macron, and it's bad. And I just think these are Hail Mary passes for like basically attention bombs, where you'll just throw up some massive claim, all the attention goes that way. She's pretty good at that, monopolizing attention in particular areas, and then just moves past it and doesn't get held to the account of the standard. But I think eventually it catches up with you. You just can't continually lie and make things up, insinuate over and over and over again. Eventually people call your bluff and they're like, yeah. And
I don't think she's
the people like dying on the hill of defending her claims and her, you know, posturing and her behavior. I just think we'll also lose credibility, unfortunately.
No, I mean, your assessment is 100% right, but I think there's a lot more to what's going on. For sure. Did you read the indictment or no?
No.
I read the indictment. 180 pages.
All right.
And she just requested a dismissal. So September 26th, they amended the indictment. I am telling you right now, she is done in this indictment.
In what sense?
In the sense that she will lose this court case.
What are the consequences?
Her whole bankruptcy, full bankruptcy, because her lawsuit is not against just her company. It's against her privately, and it's against another company she owns. Right. So her company is registered in Delaware. So now they sued her in Delaware. They didn't sue her where she lives in Tennessee.
Right.
So what's happening in her court case, and she wants a dismissal from Delaware court, then now it should actually be happening in Tennessee court.
Right.
So let's see if that dismissal will happen. Might not happen because your corporation's in Delaware. They might even split the court. They might say, okay, fine, whatever's a Delaware corporation, we got to sue you in Delaware. And what's Georgia is there, and she might have multiple lawsuits in front of her.
Right. And
these lawsuits, like the Macrons and the French, I mean, they hired like 5-6 attorneys. She has like 5-6 attorneys.
On that front alone, it doesn't look good. And then on the other more cultural, broader issues, it's just the behavior is increasingly more, I don't know, disgraceful, deranged, now going after Erica Kirk, trying to, obviously, to me, if you're asking and watching this, it's just like she's gone after everyone who's been a friend of Charlie Kirk's, everyone who's been a friend of building up his organization, and she's been the sole force trying to destroy it, and not gone after anyone who actually danced on Charlie's grave and celebrated it. She had nothing to say about any of that. And this is all baseless. It's all obviously baseless. So to me, I have the analogy of like, you know, Pharaoh on the rock in the Red Sea, like, what seems to be this huge, indestructible empire that was the Egyptian plains. That's kind of funny. But what was seemingly indestructible once upon a time in our history was, you know, all these empires that rise and fall. And she's an example of an empire that I think we're witnessing the peak before the collapse. The house of cards just about to come way down. When that will be remains an open question. But everybody increasingly over time is starting to realize, oh boy, this may be, you know, you see more and more people coming out saying, eventually, like, how are you partying at Tucker Carlson's Christmas party when you just claimed you had an assassination attempt against you? Right. It's all obvious narcissistic, you know, borderline personality
disorder. Poole mentioned that, right?
Yeah, and he's
We'll mention
completely
that.
turned on her. At first, he was kind of sitting on the fence about it, but it's obviously, you know, the only reason we're talking about anything is because of the narrative she's peddling, which are totally false, baseless, has no evidence, and then she just moves on from one to the other and then claims I never said this or that, because everything is a little bit insinuating and vague. But eventually, the lies catch up with you, and you surround yourself with a minefield that you just step in by constantly contradicting yourself. So, I think sensible people can see right through it.
I personally think, my opinion, it's possible because she had 4 kids back to back, and I deal with this in the community, like hands on. When you have so many kids back to back, you have some sort of depression and medication you're taking. So your sensibilities will change to what you were before. It's nothing wrong with her, but if women who do go through that is a hormonal potential. I'm not saying that she is. I'm saying that's a huge potential because that is an issue. Because if you think about it, where she used to talk before was more coherent. I bought her for a book, Blackout, right? She wrote a book about it.
My wife had 4 kids. She never claimed the French government was trying to assassinate her.
That's true, but
Candace did this exact same MO before she had a single child. So I know.
Really?
Oh yeah,
I didn't know that.
She's always been doing this kind of thing,
That's interesting.
Being kind of parasitic on different movements, taking on different personas as a conservative pundit, and then using those talking points that she doesn't quite understand to try to, build audience. It's been the same MO for years.
Wow.
Unfortunately. Wow. Now, look, I mean, we had an interaction. We got to have conversations and talk honestly. And I thought what I thought was in good faith. But, I gave her credit at the time for that. And I gave her sort of a window of really, trying to assume the best of positive intentions and good faith. But it just withered away with the increasing lying and behavior that was just, can't look past it at a certain point,
I mean, you realize she has when she did a podcast on 80% on I think what was it about where the location was of the Israelis and the French intelligence and the shooting car, and then she went to Adam, right? She went hitting on Adam. Yeah. So she had 165,000 live viewers. I don't think people understand what that means. This is like in live. Even Joe Rogan doesn't do live viewership. Not Joe, not Piers Morgan.
People like drama. They like theater. They like spectacle.
I mean, 165,000 live. I mean, this is a powerhouse.
Yeah,
this is not a joke.
There was a time when Carlos Mencia, if you bring up Joe Rogan, was the king of comedy, the king of Comedy Central, unstoppable force, immovable object, couldn't take him down. And who was this little guy, Joe Rogan, calling him out for stealing jokes? Where's Carlos Mencia now, and where's Joe Rogan?
Well, yeah, good point. No doubt. No, I'm not going to disagree with that.
This stuff, it's not sustainable. It's just telling the truth can cost you in the short term and will save you in the long term. Lying may gain you in the short term and will cost you in the long term. That's it.
No doubt. I agree with you on that point.
165,000, half of them watching because they want to see what the hell, half of them are.
No, but they're giving money. They're like you see those gifts and all the support. I mean, there's money being given there.
Okay, good. Keep going. She should keep going.
I think she's gonna keep on going. There's no doubt about it.
It's a losing battle, and it's a losing. You win the battle, you lose the war. I'm just saying, if you dig yourself into a deeper and deeper grave, it's Scar and the hyenas at the end. Eventually you cannibalize your own audience. You surround yourself with real hateful people, real conspiracy theorists. They stop trusting you. Remember Scar at the end of Lion King? My friends. I thought you said we were the enemy, and they turned on him. It's going to happen eventually. It's just it's a inevitability, I think.
Right.
That people will look back and say, "Oh my God, remember that crazy spectacle?" Things tire, and
well, the question is, the intelligent people will see the difference, right?
Yeah.
But the masses are not in the level of it. Listen, the way I look at the world is that people talk like a lawyer or you talk like a person. So those who talk like lawyers will understand that she's messed up. But those who talk like people, they're gonna say, no, she's good and you're the messed up person.
Yeah, I actually think more and more. I think the common sense person, People who have nothing going on and want to just get lost in drama, theater, and spectacle, want to go with it. People who have stuff going on for themselves, families, lives, careers, very easily say, what the hell is wrong with this person? It doesn't take much. Doesn't take a brilliant mind to see through the pattern, especially women who can pick up on manipulative behavior. A lot of her biggest detractors early were women who can sense this kind of stuff.
Oh, really?
Men can get lost in data, intellectual kind of games, but she doesn't really play an intellectual game. She plays an emotional one. So,
I mean, she does bring data, but the way she connects it, I think, is off, right?
it's not data. It's just.
Well, I mean, it's
not-
you're right. It's not. It's like it's not real, but it's real. You know what I mean? Like,
fake. It's all manufactured. It's all factual because she essentially has admitted that she operates from a place of provocation. Whatever gets a reaction, she goes for, and that's not whatever's true. That's whatever gets a reaction.
right. I mean, she's definitely connecting the dots the wrong way. There's not even a question about that.
Yeah, I don't think she cares to connect them the right way.
Yeah. No, she doesn't. Obviously, she doesn't. And plus, how can she connect it? She doesn't have more intelligence than her.
It's not a mistake, is what I'm saying. I think.
Yeah, no, it's for sure deliberate. There's no question it's deliberate.
So it's unfortunate, but that's what it is. I'm not that worried about it.
I'm looking now and I see that Piers Morgan is doing a live with Nick Fuentes.
Oh, yay. Good for him.
Yeah,
He got what he wanted.
Yeah, of course he got what he wanted. He's gonna get what he wanted. This guy is he's polarizing the whole world. I mean, this is just reality. I mean, he's making such a balagan, it's ridiculous.
Pierce wants to cover what's trending and popular. That's essentially the show, is covering what's culturally relevant. That's his prerogative. You could take it for what it is. He gives people equal time to make their points, so I appreciate that when he has different things on. I don't understand the value of having a massive anti-Semite to say, you're such an anti-Semite. Like, what's the point in that? But
if Nick Fuentes want to do a podcast with you, you won't do it?
No.
What will be the what's the right word? What will be the repercussions of such a podcast?
I only talk to people in good faith. It's about value. If you don't have similar core values or good faith intentions, then there's no value in conversing with you in that way, because there's a presumption when you're talking to someone, even if you have disagreements, you're both there in good faith. But Nick is in bad faith. Nick has bad intentions.
What do you think his intentions is? What is his motives? Let's say you're gonna have a podcast with him. What motive can he have?
To appear mainstream and reasonable while having actual much more nefarious intentions. That's what he's been doing. He presents a different face when he goes on more mainstream podcasts to mainstream himself and his movement, while he holds very nefarious views, anti-Semitic. His whole point
is to become mainstream and make anti-Semitism mainstream.
Absolutely. He says it himself. Watch his personal live Rumble streams versus his podcast appearances. Coleman Hughes did a whole piece on this, which dissects it perfectly. He's not a good faith actor. He has nefarious intentions, and so I don't think you should grant the mainstreaming of such things and be a part of that. That's my opinion. I think you talk to people, you converse with people, you argue with people in the marketplace of ideas. But if somebody's has behavioral issues and problems with their conduct and bad intentions, then you could challenge them. I'm not saying it's in principle, but I don't see the value in that unless it was going to be purely combative and pushing back. But again, I don't know. He doesn't have good intentions. So him being all chummy on these podcasts, I think, is very destructive, because people say, hey, he doesn't seem like such a bad guy. And that's how you incrementally move the Overton window to anti-Semitism becoming fully mainstream. If you have
So I just showed you what Hadar Mukhtar is going through, right? People are hitting her, leftists and all that. Within our own, let's be frank, within our own Jewish community, you have this eccentric, hateful, because in Israel you have the Chilonim, you have the Datiim, you have the non-religious, the secular, and the semi-religious and religious, that they're clashing right now face to face, right? Yeah. So what will be the difference there? I mean, you wouldn't talk to a person who's a Chiloni in Israel? Is that making that mainstream? So what's the nafkamina? What's the difference?
It's a false equivalency. Someone with a different opinion is very different than an opinion that wants to destroy me or hurt me. The Chilonim don't want to murder the Charedim or eliminate them. The Charedim don't want to murder the Chilonim. Nick Fuentes wants to, look, I disagree with a serial killer and I disagree with a Democrat. The fact that I have disagreements with both doesn't make them the same.
Right.
This
I
is a matter
apologize. We have a few issues with the internet here for some reason. Like
It's just
it's
a-
coming on off. So I apologize to the viewers. Yeah.
This is a matter of degree, obviously. Ultimately, everything comes down to a matter of degree. A guy who jaywalks and a guy who mass murders are both criminals. I think they're different, though, for the most part, fundamentally, even though they're both technically breaking the law. So you could do all these kind of word games and say, hey, well, what's the difference between you have a disagreement
No,
with
I'm not saying they're word games. What I'm trying to say is something very different. Listen, as a rabbi, every
Yeah.
person who comes to me, I got to accept them who they are.
Mhm.
Right? I'm not here to judge them. Again, we cannot make an equivalency like you're saying. Like you're saying, it's a false equivalency. But there's character is character.
Mhm.
Whether the person hates, whether the person's jealous, whether the person. But when we go to physical action, that's when we judge the person, right? So the question is, a person like him in the world
Mhm.
as we see it now, do we judge him for not? He hasn't done any actions wrong physically. Has he done anything physically wrong? Has he beat up? Has he attacked Jewish people physically? Has he had done any of the other things physically? I don't think he's done any of those physically, right? He hasn't done anti-Semitism in a physical format, like the jihadists.
Has he committed violence? No. Has he created a permission structure in which violence is heroic and justified? Yes.
Yeah, but that could be anything.
What do you mean that could be anything?
Anyone can be doing that, right?
And if someone is doing that, creating a permission structure where you not only encourage it, but you make people feel virtuous in harming Jews and fighting the Jews, then yeah.
But has he ever called for physical violence to Jews?
Of course.
What
these people in the occult of Jewish power, they need to be annihilated. They need to be given the death sentence, the death penalty. When we come into power, we need to annihilate these people. Absolutely. They need to be given.
He has said that. Right?
Absolutely. I mean, with all due respect,
I'm not saying that we shouldn't listen. I'm not saying we should or we shouldn't. What I'm trying to say is,
I'm saying you're not aware that he's made those claims. That
I can't watch every single. Clip
that's a big one. That's another viral clip. These people in the Jewish occult of power, they need. I'm sorry, when we take power, they need to be given the death penalty. Okay, they need to be annihilated. Okay, and then of course when he gets on Dave Smith's podcast, I don't want to harm anybody. I don't want to hurt anybody. But he's been very explicit that his aims are.
Okay, so he's a contradictor. He's a hypocrite. So what's the difference? Just call him out on his hypocrisy. Make it clear. You want to annihilate us, or you don't want to harm anybody. Make your mind up.
There's a lot of fans that he's building up in an entire movement of people that agree with him. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to call that behavior out. I'm not going to say, oh, well, he's just all he is a hypocrite because he's contradicting himself. I'm sorry. Like, I think there's a tendency maybe in good people to want to just believe the best side of people. And we can't possibly accept that they would ever do this. The same with Hamas. There's no way they would actually just attack Israel because they're Jews.
No, but Hamas actually attacked them. Forget the motive. They actually physically did it.
Yeah, but it's the same.
And there's an Islamic jihadist agenda, right? Does he have like a jihadist agenda?
Well, he has a Catholic Christian supremacist nationalist agenda.
Okay.
That he would want to implement.
And what's that? How is that different than any other Catholic in America? I'm not talking about Protestant. I'm talking about Catholics.
He espouses the idea of creating a theocracy, displacing America with a Catholic theocracy. He says it very explicitly. And that, the highest virtue is not liberty, it's order.
Mm-hmm.
Those are his views. He just doesn't have the power yet, but he would be okay with those things. And things start at the ideal level. So I'm not saying he should be arrested. I'm not making claims that he's breaking the law, but there's a difference between breaking the law and there's plenty of behavior that's worth calling out, confronting, and being courageous to be clarifying in saying we don't endorse or stand with or engage with this kind of nonsense. We have barriers by which we're willing to socially accept certain things or mainstream certain things. That's not the same as saying he should be arrested. He has freedom of speech. He can say these things. The Nazis marched in Skokie, but I don't need to go hold their hands and start hanging out and having beers to figure out what's going on.
Oh, that's no question. But again,
but they didn't hurt anybody, right? So whatever, they shouldn't.
No, but the reality is there wasn't. He wrote a book. Obviously, Hitler wrote the Mein Kampf before he became.
Yeah,
chancellor.
So he had to get a permission.
He was chancellor for 10 years, right? There were signs over there, and many rabbis had begged. I think it's we can't compare Nazism and World War II. There's a sefer called the Meshech Chochmah. I'll tell you why.
You can't compare it to Nick Fuentes.
You can't compare what happened in Europe before social media to what's today. Okay. And I'll tell you the difference. Sure. I can tell you the difference because the Jews in Germany. And this is the Meshech Chochmah writes this. He says it's in Pashat B'Shalach in his commentary, and he says the Jews who believe that, and the Jews were saying Germany is Jerusalem. Did you ever hear that concept?
No.
That the Jews were saying Yerushalayim, he Germania. Yerushalayim is Germany. So the Meshech Chochmah writes, he says, those who say Germany is Jerusalem will see Yerushalayim Nechrav. He wrote it because you cannot replace Yerushalayim with Germany. And that was the concept, that they already were willing to let go of all types of identity of being Jewish for the German cause. Right? Like I think it's a little bit different than today. Yes, we are American Jews, but are we willing to sacrifice all of our Jewish identity for the American cause? That's the biggest question every Jew has to ask.
The American cause inherently allows you to retain your Jewish identity. That's what makes it different.
Right. So I agree with that. But now
what we're now doing is saying these enemies to our identity, the threats to our identity, are just kind of, messing around. And we try to minimize to make ourselves feel better about the fact that we may have within our tent, so to speak, or within this side of this umbrella, within the umbrella, this ascendant evil that needs to be confronted. And instead of confronting it, people want to get chummy with it, cozy up to it, and say, it can't be what he really means. And I think that's a denialism that's harmful.
So you think it's better to alienate him than lekarev, we say in Hebrew, right? To bring closer. Let's alienate the guy, then let him become our friend.
It's an interesting question. I don't think his motives are good. No, I think.
Okay, but is it better to alienate someone as opposed to sitting with a table with him and try to persuade him otherwise?
I think you can make the counter case to Nick Fuentes plenty without having to engage with him and his manipulative motives in doing so.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I don't think you ignore the phenomenon. I don't think you become a baby boomer, put your head in the sand and pretend these things are not happening. You address the ideas, you address them with a counter strong message without having to bring him into the room and make him seem palatable.
I agree with that, but
we're fighting for the people he's trying to sway. And so you engage in that fight, but you don't have to make him more.
Yeah, but I think engaging in that fight to sway those to your side is by actually sitting with him and having discussions with him.
Yeah,
my opinion. Because again, if Hitler would exist in a time where we have social media, do you think that his ideas would have been more quickly accepted or more quickly denied? I believe, because my opinion, then you give me your take on it, possibly, right? My opinion, if Hitler was in a time of social media and the age of social media, I don't think people would have been buying his shtick. Because what would have happened, people will realize there's a Hitler. There were too many people denying even there was a Holocaust in the 1930s and 1940s, right?
But in a way, you're denying that there's a Nick Fuentes.
No, I'm not. I think today we have a more power. It's like my rabbi said, in the rabbinical world, we have more politics than people know, right? Like, it's not just about Judaism. There's a lot of politics. Who's going to say their idea or whatever? So one time I had a whole group of people coming against me because I became a new powerhouse in the community. So my rabbi said to me, one of my rabbis in Israel, I said, Binyamin, don't go against anybody. Go against. That's it. I mean, like, go against the idea. Go against what's happening. Don't be a direct attack against someone. That's why I think most people have a problem in social media. They don't really get how to persuade people. You don't have to go against the Nick Fuentes. Go against his ideas. Attack the ideas. Don't against it.
That's not what most people who then engage with him are really doing. You have
they're accepting.
You have Russell Brand, Steven Crowder having him on saying, "Okay, that clears it up. You're cool."
Yeah, that's ridiculous. So then you have to go against that idea again. You have to say, listen, whatever they're doing.
The format of having him on and really challenging him, I think, could be valuable. I understand that, but that's not what happens when he goes on these mainstream.
No, well, he went on PBD and PBD challenged him.
Yeah, but ultimately, I think the result is sort of, to the extent that he agrees and comes around, it's just a manipulation from what I've seen. In a way, he's useful in that he's he's much more authentic than the grifters, than say Candace or Tucker. He calls them out. So in a way, he's sometimes a Magneto of, to use an X-Men analogy, where Magneto was the villain, but in some ways he was useful by confronting, sometimes they would partner with the villain to defeat a common enemy. But so Nick Fuentes, in a way, holds to account other people in the space who are full of shit, because Nick Fuentes believes what he says. He really is an anti-Semite. He really thinks the Jews have this power and are part of this conspiracy and are nefarious and evil and wicked and an occult and all this nonsense. He really believes that. And so when these other people are playing games with it and using it to build audience and attention, he calls them out and he calls out their contradictions. So in a way, I find that stuff useful. That doesn't make him good. That doesn't make him virtuous. A lot of people in this space, in the social media world that you describe, confuse popularity and virtue. They're like, oh, he's really making an impact, must be doing something right, as in correct, as in virtuous, versus just because he's gaining an audience and the ideas are resonating. That's an area of concern. You don't ignore it, you address it, but that doesn't make him worth the salt of friendship or company or, introducing him to your audience to make him seem more mainstream. I think that's a compromising of your own moral standards. There's good and there's evil, and there's also something called courage. And I think what we're lacking is courage these days, because people want to be liked and they want the audiences of Nick Fuentes to like them. There's people who make waves and people who ride waves. And I think it's more important to be a wave maker rather than trying to ride something to see how long you can squeeze clout out of it,
Yeah,
That's
no
just my
doubt. No, I hear you, Take. I hear you, Take. Listen. I don't want to delve into too much with who Nick Fuentes is, but
Yeah.
the way I look at it, in my personal point of view, is I would rather have communication with a person like this, because I've had many communications with individuals, especially those who contradict each other all the time. Like one day he'll say X, tomorrow he'll say Y, and then go back to saying X again, and then maybe changing a little bit. Like in the previous one of these clips, the viral clips, I heard that he was attacking Candace Owens. He says, Israel, what do you think? Israel is attacking you? You think the French is attacking you? Like he defended Israel and the French and said, this is all nonsense in what she's saying, right? Like what you said in the beginning of the podcast, right? So he said it as well.
Yeah.
I think what it is I think the biggest problem of a person like Nick Fuentes is we're giving young people, like we say in the business world, your beak hasn't gotten wet yet, or you haven't earned your place in the world because you haven't given your dues to society. Like, what do you think you are? You're only 25, you're only 26, you're only 29. Like, what is going on there? I think that's what he's really lacking, a real mentorship. And between me and you, I personally think a lot of that could have been prevented if the mentors in social media really mentored a kid like this, then again alienated a kid like this. And by the way, we learned this in this week's parsha. By the way, in Parshat Vayeshev, Yosef was alienated; he wasn't accepted, right? Therefore, the hatred and the jealousy occurred, right? But here it's a little bit different. Like you're alienating the person, so he becomes more hateful and he becomes more jealous. I mean,
yeah, there's something to that. I don't know if there's a kiruv, if you want to bring someone back into the fold, do you have to do it on a public platform in front of millions of people and risk him using that as an obvious manipulation because the opportunity is there? Do it in private. Reach out to him, have dinner, talk. Yeah, I'm not necessarily, I don't judge harshly for that. And I don't judge people who take a different approach, because if their intentions are good, I understand it. I just think what ends up happening is very obviously Nick benefiting a lot more from mainstreaming himself with an ulterior motive and agenda than the people saying, hey, I think we actually moved Nick more to our side. It's not what's happening. And he's been very explicit.
So I'm going to ask you a side question based on that point. There's many rabbanim or rabbis or social media influencers that are very extreme in their speech. You know who they are. I'm not going to mention their names. And a lot of what they say is being clipped by neo-Nazis. It's being clipped by many of our Sonei Israel, those who hate us, right?
Yeah.
So would you agree with what they're saying? I mean, I don't agree personally, in my opinion, but do they have the right to say those extreme ideas? I'm not going to say who they are, but you can probably figure out who I'm referring to.
It depends on what the ideas are. They certainly have the right to say whatever they want, as long as they're not.
Well, you have one rabbi who denied the Holocaust, which is disaster. I'm not going to say who that rabbi is. I think you know who it is.
Yeah.
Okay. You have another rabbi, the same rabbi who says all the goyim have to die, 2.3 billion to the 2/3 of the world is going to die over the Avodah Zarah, which is nonsense.
Yeah.
Right. Today, the halacha says clearly there is no real Avodah Zarah today because most people are not masters of Avodah Zarah today. Right. And then you have a few others. I'm not going to mention their names because they're very more expansive, in what they said. But
yeah,
those kind of things, we should also in our community check them and say, listen, what they're saying is not right, and they should not be right. Now, it has to be like a straight brush, right? If this is the rule of our way of we're gonna, interact with each other.
It's obviously fringe enough and not gaining enough traction that I'm not even as aware of it as you are. But at the end of the day, sure, we are who we associate with. I don't believe in guilt by pure association, but at a certain point, if you associate and engage with certain people, certain ideas, that those are choices that you make. Those are ethical choices you make. And there's different degrees. I have crazy friends, sure, but I'm not friends with any pedophiles. I'm not friends with murderers, but I'm friends with people who say wacky stuff or whatever. Everyone's got that in their lives. Everyone's got their Haredi version of themselves that they're friends with. Everyone's got family members that say all sorts of things. If that crazy friend at dinner or Shabbos table who says crazy things gets on a podcast, starts amassing millions and millions and millions of followers under ideas that are actually really harmful, then yeah, I could call out those ideas. I could even do it without calling out a personal friend and saying, look, I have a friendship with this person, but his ideas are harmful and I can engage in those ideas without even condemning the person if I believe the person has good intentions, because people can be wrong about all sorts of things. It's actually the intentions of the person that are important. If somebody's doing it in good faith and believes this, but has good intentions, that's one thing. I think if you have an ulterior motive and agenda, that's another thing. But sure, the standards go across the board. Bad ideas are bad ideas no matter who says them. I don't care. But I also think there's a behavioral nefarious element to a Nick Fuentes and to all these people. Like, while I think he's authentic, he also plays a very shrewd game.
So you think he's trying to do like a Charlie Kirk, but his version of a Charlie Kirk organization?
And I quote, "We infiltrated Turning Point. We raped it. We effed it. We are in. The Groypers have taken power."
I didn't know he said that.
These are quotes, Benny.
But I don't get it. But is it true? Okay, it could be a quote. Has he infiltrated Turning Point?
Yeah, well, he's speaking to the fact that there's all these Groypers at Turning Point events questioning Charlie on the Talmud, questioning Charlie on the USS Liberty, on Jewish conspiracies that Charlie kept having to face towards the end of his life. And right. Nick took pride in that. He called Charlie a fake Christian. He ridiculed him constantly. And he said that when we are seeking political power, we are going to infiltrate these movements. He said, I raped Turning Point. I infiltrated it. We are there. I'm quoting the guy. So I don't know what version of him you're responding to.
You saw this? Charlie's new book, guys. Stop in the name of God. Why honoring the Sabbath will. Yeah, I have to show that. Since we mentioned Charlie, let's promote his book, right?
Sure. Now, anyway, these are quotes from Nick Fuentes. And if we want to convince ourselves that all the worst things he's ever said are jokes and all the best things he's ever said are sincere, that's your prerogative. That's anyone's prerogative to delude themselves to that. I don't, because he's not a comedian. He's not on stage doing an act or a shtick. The actor shtick, I think, is the mainstream reasonable Nick Fuentes you're seeing right now.
Right.
Which obviously times very well with his rise in popularity to the mainstream,
Yeah, but my biggest fear is that we're gaslighting or we're putting wood to the fire by alienating him. Because I listen, this is the reality that you see in any case scenario, right? Like if you alienate someone or you push someone away, you're just giving them more an ability to be worse. That's the way I see it. The famous story with the Chavetz Chaim, no?
No.
So Ravad Yosef, one of the Rabbanim came to Ravad Yosef for advice. I can send you the clip after. Mm-hmm. And Ravad Yosef, Ravad Yosef tells the story of the Chavetz Chaim. That one time a person, Rosh Yeshiva, came to visit the Chavetz Chaim. Mm-hmm. And the Chavetz Chaim was with a group of Chevre, and he turned his back away to this person. So he came to say hello to the Chavetz Chaim. It's a big Rosh Yeshiva. Mm-hmm. And the Chavetz Chaim turned away. He didn't listen to him. He waited till he left. Then he left. And then the people asked the Rebbe, why didn't you say hello? He says, you don't understand who this person is. He says, this person kicked out a Bachur in Yeshiva. The mother begged him to bring him back to Yeshiva. Begged. He said, no. He was a Kabdan. No, he's not coming back. He said, this person started the communist revolution. The son was part of the communist Bolsheviks, the Bolshevik revolution.
Okay.
So you see that, you can have a mindset, let's push a person away. But, and we have this many times in our own yeshivot where we kick kids out. Why are you kicking the kid out? Why we're not working with the kid,
Yeah. Fuentes is not an old man. He's not a child. He's in his 20s.
No, he's a child. For today's day and age, he's a child.
Okay.
This is what I think people are forgetting. Today's day and age, in our society today, he's a child.
What I will say to you is, sure, if you want to have private outreach and correspondence to try to use carrots instead of sticks, sure. But don't do it in front of millions of people where there's a massive opportunity to manipulate an entire audience. Because once you dangle millions of viewers in front of a whole display, let's be honest.
Obviously, it's vanity. It's not.
You're not
changing him.
You're doing it. It's all clip motivated, and there's an audience opportunity to capture that. If you really have the best intentions, then hey, yeah, have him for Shabbos and say, and then the next time he goes live, he goes, it's not all Jews. It's not even most Jews. Maybe it's not the Jews. And hey, I'm open to that.
So, Achi, let's try to invite Nick Fuentes to Shabbos.
You can do it, Benny. Keep me posted. You're the rabbi. I'm just.
Would you come for Shabbos? I bring you here in the Queens Chevra.
It could be interesting. Well,
why not? Let's try to make it happen. I think we can make it happen. A Shabbos. Why not?
A Shabbos with Nick Fuentes.
Lama lo? What do we lose?
It's quite the scholar in residence.
Listen, I do see a lot of intelligence in his speech.
This week's Parsha talks about the occult.
But isn't that what the Chatumei Mitzvah were? The occult? It's like in a couple of times.
Here's what I'll say. I guess you could interpret it positively. Like Nick kind of respects the Jews. He kind of understands. Like he gives us our flowers, even though he paints it in a negative light. He has an admiration, a respect. He just wants to match that. In a way, he's missing a few like key pieces, but he's not the type that puts down Jews as inferior in some.
Oh no! He from what I've seen, he puts us here.
Yeah,
and he's upset that we're here. You get it?
And he's increasingly done that. But at the same time, you just can't ignore the massive elephant in the room, which is the years and years of streaming and audience he's built on a cesspool of the worst anti-Semitic tropes and ideas known to man.
Yes, I'm not denying that.
We're all discovering him now coming out of the ground. And it's like, what about the soil that he's come out of? And people like to pretend they don't see that. They're like, oh, look at this polished young man. Okay, he's a little angry. He's got a few misguided ideas. Let's hang out. It's like, he's
no. I don't want the audience to get me wrong. I agree with you on that point. Don't get me wrong. I'm just trying to say is that I don't think it's a good idea for us to fully push him away. I think if he really needs guidance look, Charlie Kirk, and he mentioned this in PVD's podcast. Charlie Kirk did what we do in our community as Jews, right? He created an organization that is able to roll millions. I don't think even us, we have that ability.
Yeah.
Whatever Charlie Kirk did, I don't think we have any koach of that level.
Right.
That we can mobilize millions of people to go vote for a president. Do we have that power? We don't have that power. Charlie Kirk has that power. And if Nick Fuentes really thinks about it, he has that power more than we do right now. I mean, he has that power to mobilize blocks of voters. We don't have that huge power throughout the whole country to do that. Where are we at? We're New York, Miami, LA. Where else? Show me else. Where else are we overpopulated? I mean, there's nowhere else. I mean, what power do we have the way they're claiming we have this huge power? We don't have this huge power like everyone thinks in numbers. Like I saw a clip of an imam. He says they can flood social media with the billions of population that they have against all us Jews.
Sure.
Like we're looking at one Nick Fuentes. We got to look at the whole, Islamic jihadist believers.
Yeah. Listen, just like in combating far leftism, we did no one any favors by capitulating and conceding, making concessions to the worst ideas of the left, as the Democrats did, acknowledging the pronouns and the absurdities of speech control and hate crimes and hate speech and all of that. We made no concessions to that. And we came out the other side victorious by not ceding the linguistic territory, the ideological territory to any of that. You need to hold the same firm ground on the right. If you want to have your standards, I'm not saying to arrest, and I'm not even saying to ignore, address it, but don't compromise your standards on what's allowable and acceptable in a civil society, in the liberal values and principles that we espouse and live by in a country that has freedom of religion and freedom of speech and an actual marketplace of ideas. Not for theocracy and not for totalitarian control. You need to be able to call those out. Everyone needs to be able to call those out without saying, yeah, let's it's an interesting, keep it in the marketplace of ideas. Sure. Consider the arguments, but don't make silly concessions in which you try to, and I think that's kind of what's happening in this cozying up, unite the right with those who actually seek to divide the right. So that's my whole spiel on that.
No, you're awesome. I love that what you said. That's gonna be a good clip on on a short. But I think what we definitely need to do as a Jewish community, we need to gain the Gentile trust back. I think that's what we're losing because if Judaism is supposed to be a compassionate society, and for some reason I realize every time we are in a war, we lose trust.
Yeah,
That's just
but we
the
gain
reality.
respect.
It's true. We do gain respect.
I don't like the idea of like, oh, how do we get the nations, the goyim, the non-Jews? How do we get the Gentiles to like us? It's like, look, the ones who don't like us
will never like us
because we're successful and virtuous and good. You can't get people who say the condition of us liking you is either your elimination, erasure, or your failure. Those are not bendable. Those are not compromisable standards by which we lose those things to gain approval.
Yeah,
those
but we're not.
Those who love Jews in our success, in our virtue, in our victory, those are the people we need to ally with.
But we're not helping ourselves by not gaining the trust of people. Like we're not really helping ourselves,
but
honestly.
The people who decide to distrust Jews because of our success and our virtue are really at a loss for themselves. I don't know what else to tell people like that. That's a destructive attitude.
No,
you can explain that it's destructive to have that attitude.
Right.
I think you can present in a way that's, that basically demonstrates that, we are not reliant on your approval to exist and thrive. You are compromising your ability to do so by holding these views.
Right. Agree with that. That's not even a question. I'm saying that they should trust us if we had a trust factor of a high level.
Yeah.
And then we say, listen, guys, you should know a person like Nick Fuentes is not good.
Yeah.
We would have been having a better impact in society. They will say, okay, yeah, you're right. He's not a good guy. We see it. Okay. But I think the fuel and the fire of how Candace, Tucker, and all these now we've seen from the right side of the spectrum, right? That they're gaining traction is because there is a lack of trust in our. And I think Piers Morgan did a lot of this, by the way. He did a lot about this with where he challenged the jihadists. Do you condemn October 7th? Oh, but it's disproportionate. The war is disproportionate, right?
Yeah.
But it was fake concepts because he was going through a moral you're putting morality in war. War itself is not moral. So what morality do you want to have in an immoral action? So you know what I mean? Like that's the consequence of war. You force us to be in a war where we're killing people. The war itself is immoral. The start of the war was immoral, and the continuation was immoral because now we're killing people. Like where does it say in the Torah that we are people of war? We're not a people of war. But we are people that defend ourselves.
Yeah, right? I wouldn't call it immoral. I would just say not an ideal state of being to be in a state of war. But it's not like war in and of itself is immoral. It depends on who's the aggressors and who are the defenders.
If you're a defender, you're beheter, we say in Hebrew. You're in a permissible war, right? Yes. But we're not allowed to start a war, right? We know in Judaism, we're not as Jews, we're not allowed to start a war.
Right.
Right. That's the rule. We only started 2 wars.
So I would simply say that the people who don't trust Jews as a product of our success, they're the ones with the problem.
Well, yeah, because they're jealous, obviously, right?
We're not the ones with the problem. I just don't think the onus is on us to figure out a way to get them to trust us when we haven't done anything wrong. That's all.
Yeah, I agree. No doubt.
And I think ultimately you get respect for that with the people that matter, and that's what happens. Look what happened. Look what's happening to the anti-Semitic corner of the internet. They're just increasingly becoming this dark cesspool, isolated. That's what's going to keep happening, and they're going to lose. So.
Well, of course they're going to lose. They're going to lose, because.
And they go down the anti-Semitic rabbit hole at your own peril. It's only going to hurt you eventually. It's like can't be in a narcissistic relationship with the world where their narcissism and envy and resentment demands something on your end, has some sort of claim on your behavior, on your actions.
No doubt. We shouldn't fold at all for any of this stuff. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. We shouldn't fold for it out. I'm just questioning our tactics. That's what I'm trying to question. Like, what tactic is the right? And I personally think every person is a different tactic. Like, I personally like a Candace Owens. I think she needs to be secluded. Like, the more you seclude her, the more you don't fight her. You just seclude her. You just close her in a Pandora's box. That's that because there's no coherent discussion with her. But she has this delusional way of thinking, delusional way of connecting dots of these public information she finds on the internet.
But you think Nick is a different beast than you would?
I think Nick has an intellect.
You think he's got a Yiddish cup?
I think so. Yeah, I think he has a little bit. Yes.
Yeah,
I think he does.
like a real apikores kind of thing.
Yeah, mamash. No, bemet. Yeah, bemet. Like an api. Who's the guy that always goes in Piers Morgan? He denies the Holocaust. That historian. What's his name again? Tall guy, Israeli guy. His parents were Holocaust survivors.
Norman Finkelstein.
Yeah, Norman Finkelstein. Right. Yeah. The only thing I hate about him is he talks very slow.
He does talk very slowly. And that's how he's going to conduct this conversation. Rabbi Beni wants to talk to Nick Fuentes and have him for Shalashidis. Well, he should. But don't invite me because I don't mingle with Zionists. Yeah, I know.
That was a good one, by the way. As if he was here. Yeah, as if he was here. Mm-hmm. So he's a crazy. I think he's a kook. Mm-hmm. I think he's like a Candace Owens. Mamash, I think he's a Candace Owens. I think he takes history and he plays it in one small, narrow sequence of reality, right? Like history is supposed to be perspectives, many perspectives. He's literally taking that one minimal perspective and making it, we say in Hebrew, the ikar perspective, the prime main perspective. Yeah. And I think that's his failure. Right, yeah. He messes up on that, and then he misrepresents the whole Jewish community. Like everybody thinks, oh, look at this guy, he knows what he's doing. He knows. Look, even the Jews say, even their own people say. You know what I mean? Like, sure. That's the problem.
You see Fuentes in an interesting, like a lost yeshiva bacher kind of way.
Because you see how he's flip flopping ideas constantly. Mm-hmm. Even in the in a few points, like when he goes against Candace or when he goes against other things. Mm-hmm. Like think about it. Like you see, there's not a. We say in Hebrew yatziv, there's no real balance of thought, right? Mm-hmm. Like if a person can change his mind constantly because he's getting new information, I think he doesn't have full coherent information. I don't think he has holistic information.
We can button this up by simply saying that in the engagement with Nick Fuentes, what I've seen more often than not is people coming to the conclusion that his ideas aren't so bad, rather than Nick coming to the conclusion that the person he's talking to's ideas aren't so bad. That's what ends up happening. A sanitation of Nick Fuentes rather than an uplifting of him to see the light. He's getting other people to see that he's not that dark, which is a manipulation. So that's all else. That's what's happening on the public stage right now.
Chazak Baruch. I always tell people it's about perception, not about reality.
Yeah, that's what's happening.
That's what you're saying is perception-wise what's really happening.
That's what's happening.
We don't really.
And Nick isn't saying, oh, I've never thought about it in that way with the Jews. Rather, the person saying, I've never thought about it the way you're presenting it. But that I agree with. It's a lot more agreement with Nick Fuentes rather than Nick Fuentes' agreement with whoever's trying to, quote, talk sense to him or figure out what's going on. Or him simply lying about everything he's ever said up until the point where now he's on the big stage and says, yeah, I'm not anti-Semitic at all. Literally. When for years he's talking about Jew boy, the occult of powerful Jews that need to be executed. I mean, give me a break.
Right, but has he ever debated a Jewish person that can be in his part of debate?
In his part? Well, I guess he did a debate with Dinesh D'Souza, which I watched a good chunk of, which, Dinesh.
Oh, I didn't see the whole thing. What do you think about it?
Well, I have to remember what I saw. I didn't see the whole thing, but I know that Dinesh ended up coming away. Like that's when Nick revealed his sort of more intellectual side, and he didn't go after he didn't make it racial. He didn't make it any of those things. And so again, it was sort of the first moment, like Alex Jones with Dinesh versus Nick, where you started to see that Nick is formidable intellectually and therefore didn't get distracted with the racial stuff. But I think that's tactical, not a philosophical evolution.
I think potentially we shouldn't overestimate also Nick. That's what I'm afraid is happening.
I don't think that. I don't overestimate. No.
Yeah, I don't think he's that manipulative the way everyone really thinks.
Oh, I do think he's that manipulative, but I think it's not to be overestimated, and it doesn't mean he doesn't know his stuff when it comes to particular things.
Right? No doubt. I heard that you have a few tours. You're going.
I'll be around. Yeah, I mean, I'm doing a lot of comedy, so I'm.
Where's your comedy? Where's the next comedy? What's your schedule?
Going to LA tomorrow. I have a show in Los Angeles, and then I'm doing a bunch of private events. I'm performing in Atlanta, in Savannah with my band. I'm performing in Houston, I'll be going to Amfest in Phoenix. So that'll be
Amfest. Wow,
Yeah.
that's a chiddush. That's a chiddush.
And we'll see how it goes. Right into the Lions Den. We'll see what happens.
I didn't want this whole podcast to be about Nick. I just wanted to make sure, I just had a whole debate about this thing.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, it was like what's really going on in the social media? He's being like, I think he's being like the next Andrew Tate, but in more of a different type of Andrew Tate, right? More of intellectual type of Andrew Tate, and all that stuff that was happening when Andrew was pushing the whole envelope and what he was doing.
Yeah. For
sure. What do you think the future will be in social media with a person like what's going on? What do you think would be? Do we have a chance to try to persuade and win hearts of others?
Yeah, I think in the long run, the people with integrity win. The people without integrity lose. And so I put my cards and my bets with the Ben Shapiros and the Seth Dillons and the PragerUs and everyone in this like civil war that's happened on the right, because we already know the left is far gone on some of those worst ideas. But essentially the infighting and the civil war is really creating a big opportunity for the far left takeover that's coming at the local of levels when you see mayoral elections like Mamdani, but also at the national elections. I think they're going to, all they have to do is point to the right and see, you see all this Nazi crap you get with the right? They used to say it for years and it was nonsensical. It was a baseless caricature. And now these people on the right are handing them victories on a silver platter by welcoming these people.
Quickly, what do you think of Mamdani in your perspective? I personally think it makes no difference in New York City. We might lose a few, points of fact, but I don't think it's going to be a crazy thing.
The difference between what Mamdani can get done policy-wise that's harmful, it's more about the reverberating effects of a guy with his views that he espouses proudly, his anti-Zionist views, his pro-terroristic regime views, his reframing of these things as liberation movements, his sympathy with terrorism, his sympathy with jihadism, his proud Marxist communist views, for that all to be part of the package and still win, either because people support those views or they look the other way because he can dangle some free stuff policies in front of them and they're too young to even have any knowledge of the fact that these policies don't work. For all of that to exist in a person and still be able to win will have reverberating effects across the Democratic side to say, hey, I think if we run more far left populist candidates, we really have a shot. And that is the real danger. It is the starting point of a new strategy on the left, which is going to say, let's do Trump on the left. Let's do left-wing populism. And that's when you'll get people, charismatic Maduros, Mamdanis, these people running at higher and higher ranks of power. And that is very, very dangerous. And that's just on the communist side of things. And then the fact that he can hold the views of, he doesn't use the term intifada because he doesn't like how it makes people feel, but he supports what it stands for.
Obviously, no doubt.
So the fact that people are either supportive of that or willing to look the other way is the real damage, regardless of if he can pass his free buses policy. That's small potatoes.
Right, that's nonsense.
Compared to the damage.
But I personally, I don't know if you saw the recent data, they showed that most people who voted for Mamdani never are not New Yorkers. They're people who moved to New York.
Yeah.
So they're like from California or from these, these other.
Yeah, no. Again, it doesn't take much in politics for people to ascend to these positions of power where they exert enormous influence and have real change, even if it's by the mistakes of a few ignorant young people that got someone elected. They get elected, and then they have a term to do a lot.
If he fails, then there will never be another Muslim mayor again.
I don't think that's true. If he fails, he just blames the capitalist system he blamed coming in. That's
already oxymoron. That's already crazy nonsense.
These are unfalsifiable doctrines. Remember, it's a politics of grievance and blame. So whenever the failures occur, you can always blame the same scapegoats you blamed going in.
Wow. So I guess we're all going to be blamed.
It's Jews, it's capitalists, it's exploiters, it's all those things. I couldn't get what I could get. Why are the prices of the building so high? If the truth is it's because of the policies of regulations that were put in by a communist, they can always blame the greedy landlords that had to raise prices because they couldn't make a profit and because there was a shortage of housing. Meanwhile, it was the very policy that made things worse. They can always blame the same people that they did to begin with to pass the policy to start. So it's unfalsifiable. These things are not based.
So it's never ending then. Then it's never ending.
Never ending.
Oh my God.
Well, you have to stand on principle and you need a strong pro-Western, pro-capitalist leaders. We don't have that. We have Cuomo and Sliwa. Like these aren't revolutionary.
So quick.
You need that kind of enthusiasm on the alternative side.
Fine, but then why didn't those people come up for mayor? I mean, Bloomberg came after Giuliani, right?
Yeah, but I mean, he doesn't really have the charisma. But I
But
don't
he
know.
won. Okay, he
I don't
won.
know.
But where are the people? I mean,
I
there's
think
so many New Yorkers or businessmen. They
yeah,
can
yeah.
come up and become mayor if they
I
want.
think there's always a slight advantage against the right because on the Republican or right wing side of things, these people are competent and therefore they spend their time and in money and labor investing in productive endeavors, which politics is not. The most competent people who lean right wing Republican don't get into politics because they build businesses, they build industry, they're entrepreneurs.
Right, obviously,
On
that's
the
a good point.
left, what are they? Education majors, sociology majors, philosophy majors, who are the intellectuals that lean left, and therefore they naturally extend to go into politics. Why? Because they can't compete in the marketplace because people don't want to reward them financially, and they feel they should be rewarded financially. So how do you get rewarded financially if you can't produce? You become an intellectual and you take from those who do produce, claiming it's righteously and virtuously yours by the virtue of your intellect that you should be ruling society. And so that's why it's always slightly stacked against the right because, the right doesn't have that much interest in politics to begin with.
No doubt, that's a great point, guys. People who are actually people who are actually successful are building empires of their own. They don't go into politics. That's unbelievable.
And so at that plus charisma and performance, you need that ability. But there's a rare breed that comes around every once in a while who's like,
Maybe I run for mayor one day. Who knows?
But I think that's one of the reasons why you're like, where are all those guys? Oh, they're working, building businesses, making the world go round, while the left is trying to be parasites off of that and mooch off of that success.
Right. Bottom line is everyone can become a politician. That's the bottom line.
Yeah, it's just show. I mean, think about what it takes. I don't know. It takes a little bit of narcissism, a little bit of ego, and a little bit of charisma, but not even that much. To say the easiest thing in the world to say everything should be better. Everybody should have more money. Everybody should have more this, should have more that.
I always tell people if everybody's a millionaire, then we're all poor.
I'm saying there's nothing easier in life than doing that.
Right.
And demanding someone else pay for it.
That's crazy. I mean, hopefully we'll get more, let's see what happens in 4 years. I mean, I'm gonna get the hit the most. I mean,
I have faith in the American spirit. I have faith in like the culture here of that still values achievement, accomplishment, competence. It's not like Europe, England, where they're just like, I don't know, whatever, like let it go. They have a little bit more of a defeatist attitude. I think America's stronger than that. In its sort of natural alliance with general Western principles, America stands a lot more proudly behind that and is not afraid of being proud of who it is, what it is. And
American society is built on a very good
strong thing.
Very good. I tell people if the Constitution is going to be destroyed or there's going to be something in the Constitution that they say it's null and void, then we Jews all have to go to Israel. You cannot live in this country anymore.
Yeah.
That's the way I look at it. That's the extreme.
It doesn't come to that. We'll still keep fighting the good fight. Rabbi Beni.
Ami, thank you for coming. Yeah, it's awesome. But trust me, we got so much more to talk about. And I like to thank at the end of I like to thank Adam for connecting us. Absolutely. It's an awesome connection. Absolutely. I appreciate that. I appreciate Adam. I appreciate everything that we're doing. And a lot of things are behind the scenes that we're doing for our communities. Beautiful. All communities, right? We're doing a lot of stuff. And anyone who wants to check out Ami, check out his social media. I'll put it in the description of our YouTube channel. And please watch our shows, watch Ami, and continue with the faith.